Okay. So, welcome to how to use the top 10 essential oils. So these, I'm going to talk you through what doTERRA means to me, because not all essential oils are created equal. So just to be really clear, this is about one specific brand of essential oils, but of course it's generic too. So we can sort of navigate through that together. And the top 10 oils, these are just simply the ones that are used the most because they have most uses. They have multiple uses. Okay, so I'm going to teach you what they are, how they work, and then go through 3 ways to use them. And I'll talk you through how doTERRA sell them in kits and in packs, and they put these 10 oils together into a kit. But we can navigate that if that's appropriate at the end. There's lots to get through before then. Okay, me, I'm a mum. I always put that first because that's my most important job, especially now that I'm navigating my ship alone, if you like. But I'm also a flow coach, a flow healer, and that really, in essence, it means that I invite people to connect back in with nature, which is their own nature. And in practical sense, that really means to invite us to consider life as cyclical. I came from a coaching background where you are encouraged to consider life as more linear. You know, you're here, let's get to here, what's the journey? And then, you know, arguably you're set, and then you set your next goal. But for me, and certainly in my experience and working with people, we've really been exploring this notion of reconnecting with the seasons of life and seeing life as a spiral or a circle. And that's what led me to the oils, although I first started using them for the children and then for myself for physical ailments such as respiratory problems, anxiety, low mood, skin problems. It's evolved into using them for psychological issues, emotional, mental, spiritual. Then we're on an ongoing journey. And I put this in, it's important. I am an educator, but on oils, but I'm also a student very much. And my small team, which is growing, is learning. We're learning together. We're all in this together. Flowlosophy number 1. So essential oils, why use essential oils for your health and well-being? Well, they've been used for centuries to support the body in healing. We know this. They're an ancient system of medicinal healing. And when bought in a pure format, they are 100% natural. So they work with our bodies, promoting health by realigning ourselves and correcting imbalances without the side effects that you would get from pharmaceutical medicine, which will go in and create, I was going to say force, but create a certain response, which then might have a negative impact on another part of your system. This is where I need to say I'm a big fan of conventional medicine. It's all about using what we need in the moment for our particular health concern. My passion is to move towards a natural, non-toxic lifestyle, which then moves us into this preventative place of then hopefully not needing the pharmaceutical medicine that could create further problems down the line. So there's lots of applications. I've mentioned a few, but the key I guess thread between all essential oils is that they detoxify. They are removing unnecessary toxins and rebalancing. Interestingly, they're 50 to 70% more powerful than herbs, which makes them really easy to use because you just get your bottle of oil and you just use 1 or 2 drops, and that is all you need when you have a pure and powerful oil in most applications. And this makes them affordable. Investing in a bottle of oil, if you don't use it, it'll last you about 5+ years. That's the shelf life, but obviously depending on how often you use it. But when you look at a 15 milliliter bottle of oil, there are 250 drops in one 15 milliliter bottle. So essential oils are the aromatic natural compound found in a plant. This is the peppermint leaf, and this white sac underneath the leaf in that magnified picture is the essential oil. So what is an essential oil? It's actually the plant's defense system, its protective mechanism, so its own immune system. And because plants are made from carbon, just as we are, it's a natural alignment with our own body. So we can use those oils to support our own immune system. And when I found that out, that kind of suddenly locked in the jigsaw puzzle on how these natural essences actually work in our bodies. It makes more sense. They're made in several different ways. Steam distilled generally will be for the leaves or the stems, and cold pressed if it's the fruit. And I'll talk a little bit about that later. And they are powerful. They have safe benefits without side effects when they are pure and unadulterated, and that is absolutely key. So that's what we need to look out for in an essential oil supplier, that it is indeed pure and high grade and 100% what it claims to be, because unfortunately the essential oils market is not regulated, so you have to dig deeper. You will see a lot, I think there's a lot of push advertising going on Amazon at the moment for things like essential oils. You can buy, you know, £5 a bottle. 80% of the oils on the market are adulterated with fillers, pesticides, chemicals. You don't know what you're getting at best. It might just be a carrier oil, like an olive oil or something, to bulk it out. At worst, you're actually going to be putting toxins in your body because they're bulked out with unknown fillers. So because the industry is unregulated, doTERRA have, they put each batch of oils, and you can, every bottle has a batch number on the bottom. I don't know if that's visible. And you can plug that number into sourcetoyou.com and check out what it's been tested and how it's been tested. And each batch is tested with 5 different tests 3 times over. And 2 of those are from external sources, so independent research facilities, outsourced. So this is what's really crucial to me. I can see where they've come from and what they're composed of, and see that they are pure. So once they've gone through all that rigorous testing, each batch will then get, and only then get, this certified pure therapeutic grade. And so they are pure, doTERRA, and that's so important. But they're also effective, and this is where the ethically and sustainably sourced element comes in. Because to make an oil pure, potent, as a separate issue to being pure, it's about the chemical composition. And that all depends on how they're grown and when they're harvested. So doTERRA work relentlessly to make sure that they source their oils from the indigenous part of the world where those plants come from. So a lot of pure oils will be made purely, but they will be harvested, will be grown in parts of the world that might be cheaper. The soil isn't the optimum for that particular crop, and the climate too. So what doTERRA does, they actually go and they partner in the right part of the world with those people who have the expertise and bring their own expertise and work together, so in an ethical way. So they're grown all around the world, the different plants, in their natural habitats, and they're harvested with something called biodynamic harvesting on the right day, month, right down to the time of day for the best results. So, you know, this is absolutely crucial, which is what explains the fact that just 1 or 2 drops of these oils can have the effect that you need for whatever your health issue is. And on the back of that, they do it in an ethical way. This particular village here is in Somalia. They went in to grow vetiver, which is quite a viscous oil and is really good for anxiety, sleep, calming. It's used in a lot of blends for aiding restful sleep. And they found that there was a fantastic environment for and climate and soil for growing vetiver, but that the villagers in the tribal element that they live were being pitted against each other by the middlemen between the oils manufacturers and the farmers to get the cheapest price. They weren't paying them to travel to the distillery. They would sometimes not pay them if the harvest failed. So this was livelihoods at risk. So doTERRA went in and cut out the middlemen and brought the village together, gave them fair wage, pays them whatever happens, and funds their trips to the distillery. And on the back of that style of sourcing their oils, which they call CoImpact Sourcing, because it's a win-win across the supply chain, right up to my level, which I'll talk about later if you like, they developed the Healing Hands Foundation, which is their charitable arm. So when they worked with this village, they said to them, okay, we're set, we're working well with you. Now we have a charitable arm, actually. What might you need us to contribute to? Do you have a project? And they said, we really want to build a school for boys. And doTERRA said, that's great, we'll fund it, but it has to be a school for boys and girls. So they did that, and the village obviously took it on, but doTERRA funded it. So for me, I come at all my life and work with a holistic viewpoint, a spiritual viewpoint, if you like. And it's all very well having an amazing product, but if you have people who are suffering, animals even, anything living that is suffering in the process of making that product, I don't believe in that product, and I believe it actually affects the product. So for me, this has an holistic effect of purity and power through these ways of working. Okay, do interrupt me with any questions.
Yeah.
Safety, this is the less interesting part, but very key, obviously. I've mentioned that they are safe and gentle when used responsibly, and that means in small doses and usually diluted, and I'll talk about how to dilute in a moment. Keeping out of the eyes and the ears. They can be used very effectively for ear infections behind the ear, but obviously not to go in the ear. And your skin might be sensitive. You can't actually have an allergy to an essential oil because there's no protein in it to create that, but you might have a skin sensitivity. So if that happens, obviously stop using it. Get a vegetable oil, any vegetable oil, olive oil is perfect, and just wipe it off the skin. Don't wash it with water because that just drives it further into your skin. Just wipe it away. And this is especially useful for the eye. I got peppermint oil in my eye once, and I just wiped it away with vegetable oil, and it just draws the oil out. It won't do you any harm, but it stings. This really stings. So always remove it with a vegetable oil. Make sure you seal your caps really firmly and keep them away from direct heat, especially in warmer climates, because that will contribute to the evaporation of the oil, and obviously you won't get as much of it. And citrus oils, lemon, lime, bergamot, anything citrus, and always watch out for blends that have a citrus oil in, are photosensitive. So never have it on your skin when you're in the sun because it will give you really bad sunburn. So either cover it up or wait for 12 hours. doTERRA oils can be used in several different ways. Always check the application methods that are recommended for each individual oil. The bottle will give you one use. The regulatory bodies that require us to be compliant about so many things that stymie our expression about some of these oils also say that you're only allowed to put one use on the oil, but often you can use them in 3 different ways, and I will tell you about those 3 ways. So peppermint. Peppermint is the great first oil to start with because it is so powerful in an immediate way. So as soon as you open the bottle, you've got that strength. You can smell the purity, you can smell the strength of it. And 1 drop of doTERRA peppermint oil is just 28 cups of tea. So when you're thinking, it's crazy, when you're thinking about how it can soothe the system, you don't need any more than 1 drop. So it's great for digestive issues. But for me, I actually use it for invigorating myself. Some people find that it helps to calm them down. So this is why I find these oils so fascinating, because it's about your individual experience. Peppermint oil can lessen tension. I find it very good for headaches. I use what we call the peppermint touch, which is already diluted. And when I have a headache, I just run it over my forehead and behind my ears to relieve the tension in my head. And back of the neck is really good for that as well. Obviously, it's good for respiratory function too. And just one drop, and I always recommend activating it with the warmth of your hands, breathed in, can clear right around your sinuses, almost clear your eyes. And that is why it's really good in a hay fever protocol. So we use peppermint, lemon, and lavender as a trio of oils to help prevent hay fever symptoms. And I find it very effective for that. The lavender is the antihistamine element, but the peppermint is the clearing. And when I've had itchy eyes, it seems to be that the peppermint, when clearing the sinuses, actually helps me clear the eyes without getting it in my eyes. Okay. So the 3 ways to use the oils are aromatically, topically, so on the skin, and internally. Now, I don't know, I might be wrong, but I don't know of any other oils manufacturer that recommends using the oils internally. And in fact, doTERRA have had a lot of stick for recommending this, because not only do they say it's okay, they actually recommend it. And it's because of this thorough testing. But not all oils can be used internally. So just as you wouldn't pick poisonous berries off a bush and eat them, not all nature can be taken internally. So this is why we just refer to our books or our support group of people before we try a new oil, just to check how it can be used. So aromatically, you can literally just open the bottle and breathe it in. And then you're not even using it, it might evaporate a little bit, but and what you're doing when you breathe an oil in, you're taking it in and it hits the olfactory nerve just up here, and then takes the signal from that natural compound into the limbic part of your brain, just like you would if you were taking laughing gas in the dentist or something to stop you from being scared of the dentist. It's exactly the same chemical response, if you like. And I think a lot of people have become a bit waylaid by this, or it's just a nice smell, how is that going to help me? Well, of course, you know, in order to have a smell, it has a chemical reaction, and it goes back to the limbic part of your brain, your reptilian fight or flight response, and looks at what needs balancing. So this is why they're so good for mood balancing. But on the hands is really good, because I find that strengthens the oil's aromatic power and breathing it in. I use a diffuser daily. I have several in my house now, partly to clear the house of pathogens more recently, but these diffusers are fantastic to put a blend of oils in and whatever effect you want in the house. I've never used diffused jewelry, but you could have something that you put the oil on and gives you the effect during the day, throughout the day. But of course it also goes into your bloodstream via your lungs. And then is also having a detoxifying effect through the liver and the kidneys. So topical is the second way of using it. So the first way is aromatically. And when we're using these oils topically, when we're starting to use them, at least we should dilute, and always for children and the elderly, always dilute these oils just to prevent the risk of skin sensitivity. Again, once it's gone through the skin, I need to look up the stats for this, but it's 60 or 70% of everything we put on our skin ends up in our bloodstream, which makes sense, doesn't it? And when you think of what we've put on our skin, I know when I think of what I put on my skin in my life, that really shocks me. So I'm now really mindful of what I put on my skin and my kids' skin. So when you're looking at these oils, though, it's a positive thing, because we are seeing that it will go into our bloodstream and have the positive systemic effects of that particular oil. So it goes through from the skin into the muscle, bloodstream, liver, kidneys. So again, into the system. And I was reading this morning that it takes 22 minutes for an essential oil after application to reach every single cell in the body. So that is kind of powerful. And there's a little bit in a moment that will explain how they do get into the cells in a way that a lot of other substances won't or can't. So this oil here is doTERRA's fractionated coconut oil, which is what I always use because it's always liquid and it's the lightest oil. So when you're using it on your face, it's not as cloggy or greasy, if you like. So you can put your makeup on over it if you wear makeup, or just allow it not to sort of clog up your pores. What doTERRA do, they put it through a process that removes the protein that creates the solidifying effect when it gets cooler, and also takes away the smell. So that's great if you don't like the smell of coconut, but also of course if you're blending oils together, you want to be able to detect what oils are in it, not just the overwhelming smell of coconut when you're blending it. So that makes this a really good go-to oil for any blending. But you can use sweet almond, grape seed, they're good for the body, they're a little bit thicker, jojoba, apricot kernel, and normal, I use cooking coconut oil sometimes as well for my body, just to have it on hand and buy it in bulk. But it actually increases the absorption of your oil. So if you think about, you know, I would squirt a squirt of this in my palm, put an oil called Deep Blue in, which I'll talk to you later about, which is relieves muscle tension, just one drop, and then I can massage it in. And of course, if I've diluted it in that oil, it can go further, that one drop. So it helps to increase the coverage of the oil and also to absorb the oil. And it prevents, to a degree as well, the evaporation of that oil on the skin. It helps it to absorb. And all these nut and seed oils have their own health-giving properties as well, of course. So dilution amounts, this is important. So the rough rule of thumb, these are the rollerball bottles that I use, 10 milliliters. So we have a roller on the end. So when they're very young, up to 12 months, just one drop of an oil in 10 milliliters of the carrier oil is all you need. And then as you get older, you can gradually increase that. Sometimes though, you know, and I always say start with less is more. And then once you're over 18, you can use up to 40 drops. But still, you know, 40 drops in a 10 milliliter is only, you know, a fraction of the overall oil. And then once again, when you're elderly and your skin starts to become thinner, again, one drop, and when you're pregnant as well. Deep Blue, aforementioned, I haven't got it in here, it's by my bed. I was quite tense last night and I find it really helps me to sleep just to put that in. So Deep Blue is probably the second most popular oil made by doTERRA, because it has soothing and pain-killing and healing benefits to joints and muscles. So a lot of people with arthritis use it. I have friends who use it on their kids for growing pains, and personal friends who use them for menstrual cramps. These are the oils, as you can see, that are in it. Wintergreen is the powerful germaline smell. That's the active ingredient in going into that muscle and really soothing the tension. You've got peppermint that has the same effect. Blue tansy has a pain relieving property. German chamomile being a calming oil to calm those tense muscles. And my favorite oil in there is helichrysum, which is a beautiful yellow flower. And the helichrysum oil on its own in a 5 milliliter bottle is one of the higher vibration oils, the more expensive to buy. But it's called liquid stitches because it actually helps to go in and actually heal where that problem is, which is why doTERRA have made Deep Blue into a rub. If you can see that blue bottle there, get into a cream, so that athletes will use that, for example, or people who have arthritic pain. It's much easier, it spreads over a larger area, and on an ongoing basis you're getting that liquid stitches effect on the internal issues. That one you mustn't use internally. It's actually got a childproof top on it. It's the only one that has a childproof lidding, because a lot of them aren't recommended for internal use, but that one actually is toxic if you use it internally. Okay, onto the internal one. You can literally just drop it in your water. Lemon oil, which is my sort of go-to water citrus, I would just drop a few drops in a glass of water several times a day to keep an ongoing detoxification through my body. And I've been doing that now probably only for about 6 months. And I think in my 47 years of living, I've got a lot of more detoxifying to go probably, but this is part of my kind of daily habit process. And you mustn't put oils in plastic, because they draw out the petrochemicals, which of course also explains why they detoxify your body, because they're doing the same with the body and drawing out the toxins. So you can drop them in a glass of water. For kids, it's great to put them in honey. Oh, I haven't got my veggie caps up here now, but there are these cool little, you know, when you get pills with powder in, and you can just pull apart. You can buy empty ones. They're about $3.50 for a bottle of 160. And you pull them apart, you can drop the oils in that you've decided for your health protocol, and then just take them as a pill, and then you can't taste them. Sometimes you get a bit of it repeating back on you, but you can't taste it. And you've got those oils and that medicine into your body systemically. I take frankincense daily under my tongue, morning and night, and I'll tell you a bit more about that later, why I do that. And the roof of the mouth, if you could pour a drop on your palm and just put the thumb there and put it on the roof of your mouth. I've got friends who use that technique for migraines. I don't know why that technique works, but that's what works for them with frankincense again, actually. Okay, so it's probably obvious how it works. But as you can imagine, one of the best ways of taking an oil that helps your digestive system is internally. It goes straight down into the stomach to balance out digestive disturbances, but you also get it into your bloodstream, so you have the systemic effects that way and the clarifying effect through the liver as well. The guideline is no more than 20 drops of all oils in 24 hours. I have probably gone up to that max sometimes when I've been trying to fight off viral symptoms, but normally that's quite a high level. Onto the virus symptoms. So of the top 10 oils, there are 4 that when put together have the biggest effect on boosting your immune system to kick out viral or bacterial threats. We call it a flu bomb. F for frankincense, L for lemon, O for oregano, and O for on guard. Putting 2 drops of each of those in one of those veggie capsules and taking them internally, I would say on the onset of any symptoms for 2 or 3 days max. It's personal, it's individual. That's what I do. And actually, in fact, I did that a couple of days ago. I got a sty on my eye. I was doing a bit too much. So I was like, right, morning and night, 2 days, I took the flu bomb, and touch wood, so far I'm okay. And to really do belt and braces, you can put the melaleuca, which is tea tree, on the bottom of your feet with a carrier oil to get that antiseptic, antibacterial into your body as well. But they don't recommend you take that internally anymore. I still do sometimes. I used to anyway. But so that's your immune defense blend, the flu bomb. Lemon, the one I use most. I use it in my cleaning. In fact, I use 2 oils in all my cleaning. I just use a spray bottle now in water. And I put lemon and on guard, which I'll come to in a moment. Not only does it not bring toxins into my house, it has a beneficial effect because you're breathing in the aroma. If the kids drop food on the table, they can pick it up and eat it. I haven't quite got to the point of using it on my floors, but I will. It's a work in progress. But lemon is fabulous for cleaning, has digestive benefits too. That's not the first one I think of for digestive benefits, but it does. And also supports healthy respiratory function. Apart from cleaning and self-detoxification, I use it in my diffuser. It's one of the simplest oils that people go to lift a low mood, and it's called the oil of focus. So I know a lot of friends who've been diffusing it while they're homeschooling their children recently. Okay. So this is a bit of 101 biology. So I mentioned before that it takes 22 minutes for the oils to go to affect every cell in the body. Not many substances can actually breach the cell wall. If we take an antibiotic, for example, which is very useful if we have an insidious bacterial infection, it will work on the bacteria that's lurking outside the cell because it doesn't get through the cell, and kill off that bacterial infection, all being well. The problem is, of course, that antibiotics firstly will cause imbalance in your gut and can actually ironically affect your immune system in the longer term, even though it's actually helping you get well in the short term. But also an antibiotic can't breach the cell because it's water-based. But essentially, so it's not useful on viruses. And I think most people know this now. I don't think, many people hopefully are asking the doctor for antibiotics anymore for viral infections. But the cell lining is fat, made of fat. And essential oils are also oily. So they are lipid soluble and can cross that membrane into the cell and have an effect on the virus, which is just magical for me. And the virus will go into the cell, replicate and explode the cell and destroy the cell and go on to the next one. And so taking the oils at the earliest onset of any sign of any threat to your cells is the best thing to do. And in fact, in the winter, I use the protective blend on my kids' feet every night as a protective measure against that before symptoms even show. Okay, and this is the protective blend. It's called On Guard. And I think I mentioned that Deep Blue is the second most popular oil. On Guard is the first. I think even before our recent times as well, because it has such a powerful immune boosting and protective element to it through the oils. So wild orange, clove bud, cinnamon, eucalyptus and rosemary. So taking it internally on a daily basis can keep you protected, your immune support by boosting your immune system. You could do it in a veggie cap or on the soles of your feet. It's brilliant for oral health too. A little girl's been losing her teeth and having painful gums, so just a teeny tiny dab on her gums has got rid of the pain and made sure there's no infection. So instead of using the sort of mouth washes that we get on our shelves in the chemists, using an On Guard mouth rinse to gargle with is not only non-toxic, it's also beneficial to your overall health. And again, as I said, this is what I use in my cleaning products at home now. And that's why doTERRA have made it into other products. So you can get throat sweets with it in. Laundry detergent, I haven't tried that one yet. Toothpaste I use. And the foaming hand gel. So rather than all this hand sanitizer that's been going on our hands, we're using the On Guard foaming gel to wash our hands. And if I haven't got any of that left, I literally just put one drop of the actual pure oil and cover my hands in it. It smells heavenly too. So you can try, there's so many different ways of using it, which is kind of overwhelming at first, but then it becomes really fun as you start to find the ways that work for you. But you can mix it with aloe vera gel, but just on its own is fine as a hand cleanser too. So oregano, so as I mentioned, On Guard is part of the flu bomb, oregano also. Oregano is probably the most powerful essential oil, and it's been used for centuries. It's what they call a hot oil though, because it's so strong. So you must dilute this oil, but it can be taken internally. If you take it in water, it's quite overwhelming, but I take it in a veggie cap. But it's brilliant for fungal issues. So I've used it for fungal issues on my feet, diluted obviously. even just for hard skin, but for things like verrucas or athlete's foot, you'd need to use it for a longer period to get rid of that. But it's strongly antifungal. And while you're treating your athlete's foot, you're getting the immune boosting properties through your system as well, which is absolutely brilliant. For me, it doesn't smell great, but I use it in my cooking, just one drop when I'm roasting a chicken. And I even diffuse with it sometimes, as long as I mix it with something like On Guard that does smell nice, to keep my air clean, if you like. So yes, I usually mention with On Guard that it's a three-way cleanser. It cleans the air, it cleans your body, and it cleans your house. Okay, so there is a specific blend for respiratory issues. This is the blend that brought me to doTERRA to start with. When Micah was 10 months old, he was hospitalized with bronchiolitis, viral, even though they gave him antibiotics, long story. But somebody gave me this because he wasn't sleeping, he was really poorly. And I was instinctively moving away from pharmaceutical medicines, intervention in any way. It just felt really wrong. As a mum, all my instincts had started to kick in. So I got a diffuser and I got this oil. It was called Breathe when I bought it. It's now called Air. And I would dilute it, put it on his chest just a little bit and on the bottom of his feet, and I'd diffuse it. And he could breathe and he slept. And so he healed more quickly because he could sleep. And it was just the most phenomenal experience. So that's what drew me in. And then this whole Aladdin's cave of the oils opened up. Asthmatics have reported that they use their inhalers less now. It can help with snoring. And if snoring's an issue, putting it on the big toe, which is the reflexology point for the head. So anything, I use it actually for hay fever too, because it's got lemon and peppermint in, and it clears me. So if obviously it's got lemon, it's got to be careful with photosensitivity. But if I'm out and about and I'm worried about the hay fever, I put that on my chest and it feels great and it smells lovely and it keeps me from getting such a bad bout of the hay fever. So the tea tree oil that doTERRA make used to be called Melaleuca, which is the generic botanical name for several different plants in that strain, if you like, but they've now reverted back to calling it tea tree, which makes more sense. Simply, tea tree is nature's antiseptic. So if there's anything, cuts, scrapes, bruises, anything that might get infected, straight away put the tea tree on, and you just need one drop because it's so strong. I've been using it with lavender and frankincense for my rosacea, and it's starting to work, which is amazing. I don't like wearing makeup, I never have, so it's been a mission for me to try to sort out my bright red skin. And you can add it to your current cleanser, your current moisturizer, but I literally just use cooking coconut oil, just a small amount, and just put it on my skin. And it's been fab, and I have it in my purse all the time for the kids, nettle stings, that kind of thing, insect bites. So yeah, this is one of those oils that runs out quite fast. Zen Jest, this is the digestive blend. I love this because if ever I get any type of digestive disturbance, from constipation to diarrhea, hangover, nausea, one drop in a glass of water. I find any more than one drop too strong for me, but some will have 2 drops. It's a personal thing. And it's a great oil to demonstrate how oils work, that they don't go in and have a certain effect like a laxative would on constipation. It goes in and says what's wrong and balances, so you can use them whether you're constipated or suffering from loose bowels. And that's why this oil has been used so effectively for some people with IBS, because their symptoms are can be greatly eased by this oil. It smells of aniseed. That's the overwhelming smell for me, but it's ginger, peppermint, tarragon, fennel, caraway, coriander, and anise. So obviously formulated to have all those digestive magical essences in it. Yeah, that's another one that I have in my handbag, just in case. It helps me with period pains too, and I'm wondering if that is partly due to, you know, everything kind of being upset when your hormones are moving. And I'm perimenopausal now, so that's happening a bit more, sort of things are shifting and changing, so this is quite useful for that, as well as other things, but I digress. Lavender, most people understand the calming and relaxing effects of lavender. It's great. It's been great for me. I've used it with frankincense for anxiety. And again, for skin irritations. In fact, if the kids have a sting or a bite, I will use lavender. If they have a cut or a graze, I will use tea tree. And it helps to even out. It's not very good, this, I don't think you can really see on the Zoom, but it's really evened out. Although I've still got pink cheeks, it's kind of evened out my skin tone by using this. And it's a natural antihistamine. Lavender is one of those oils I find people either love or they hate. And for some people, it's been because the lavender that they've been buying hasn't been pure, so it's been a bit sickly sweet. But when they smell this one, not always, some people just hate the smell of lavender. When they smell this one, it's very different. It's not as sweet and sickly. It's got that pure lavender, but it is strong. It is strong. And again, I think when people first buy doTERRA, we always plug them into a continuing education program and a support group, because you can ask questions daily, hourly if you want to, and get answers back, because it's really tempting to use lots, and of course it's just too much and it's overpowering to the senses, and although it won't do you any harm, you don't need it and you're just wasting your oil. Save the best till last, frankincense. So yes, I get a bit tongue-tied with frankincense because I tend to let my passion overtake me, and I use this daily because I want to be around for a long time for my kids. I'm an older mum, had them in my early 40s, and I discovered the scientific research behind frankincense, which isn't widely known, but it is available. So if you go into pubmed.gov, you can plug in any botanical name. So if you're researching the oils, always look for the botanical name, which is also on the bottle. For frankincense, it's Boswellia. When a cell is damaged in the body, it has 24 hours to make itself better, to heal itself, or it gets thrown out before it starts to create a cluster of damaged cells, which, as we all know, is a route to disaster. And frankincense but sometimes that system doesn't kick in. And it's usually because our bodies, I don't know the statistics, but I would say most of us have compromised systems in some way due to stress, environmental toxins, food, diet, whatever. So it gets to the point in our lives when we're vulnerable to things. And part of the reason for that is because the process that kicks out damaged cells, which is called apoptosis, doesn't kick in. And so the system's broken down, the process has stopped working. So frankincense can help to heal the cell. And if not, and the body has gone into a paralysis over apoptosis and is not kicking out the damaged cell, frankincense will kick that process in and get rid of that damaged cell. So for me, that is just amazing. So I take a drop under my tongue every morning and every night to protect myself. It also has studies have shown effects on anxiety. The cellular effect the effect on cells of frankincense explains why it's used in anti-aging creams. But, you know, a cell is in our skin, it's in everything. Obviously, we're made up of cells. So, you know, I have to remind myself of that every time when I think about what frankincense can be used for, because when in doubt, use frankincense. So, it helps with your skin, it helps with your cellular health throughout. So this is probably why it helps some people with migraines and some people with anxiety, that kind of thing. So one drop, I think that's the key thing, just one drop at a time is enough. It's 50 to 70% more powerful than herbs, these oils. So, and you're getting that resin, that amount of resin condensed into one bottle. So, and yeah, as I've mentioned, I've been using frankincense on my own skin, and just, there's a renewal, probably a bit too late to reverse the signs of aging, but who knows? Who knows? It's worth a try. Oh, right, I'm going to come out of the share for a minute because I'm about to go into how to buy them, but let's check in. How do I do that? Stop share. I haven't seen your okay, I'm going to stop the recording.